Hello and welcome to this Java tutorial. So in this video, we'll explore how to write your first Java program. So traditionally, the very first program written when learning any new programming language is the classic Hello World. So we'll also follow that tradition and create a Hello World Java program. So that will be our first Java program. So if you see a Hello World program does nothing spectacular exactly. It is just a simple program to display Hello World on the screen, but it serves as a perfect starting point to understand how Java code is written, compiled, and executed. So you'll get to know some basics about Java program, how you compile it, how you write it, and how you execute it. So if you have to write a Java program, you can use either a text editor like Notepad or gedit. So what happens is if you use initially a text editor, that will give you a better idea about how to compile and execute a Java program. And the second way is using an IDE, which is integrated development environment, like Eclipse or IntelliJ IDEA or Visual Code VSC, right? So you can use any of these IDE also. But thing with IDE is that many of the things happen behind the scene, you can say, right? So you won't be getting that knowledge, how it is actually compiled, how you execute, what happens. So all those steps, right? So Java is both compiled and interpreted. So those two steps won't be that clear if you are using an IDE. So that's what I'll suggest. First, write it using a text editor where you can go through the whole process yourself and then start using IDE. So that's what you'll ultimately use. You won't write it on a text editor. IDE would be a better choice to write any Java program, but first program at least you should try and write using text editor. And here we'll cover both ways to write Java programs. So you'll get an idea about how you use text editor as well as how you use a IDE. So we'll be using Eclipse IDE and text editor. I'll be using Notepad. Apart from these two ways, with the newer versions of Java, right? So Java 24, 25, you also have another option which is known as implicit class. So as the name itself says, implicit. So you don't exactly create a class yourself. So we'll see that way also with newer version how you can write an implicit class. Before writing your program, make sure that you have all the prerequisites to start with writing the program. So first thing is, of course, you should have JDK installed on your system. So that is the first thing, prerequisite. And system environment is also configured by setting the path to the bin folder in your JDK installation. So that is also needed. Then you can use Java compiler from any location. And other tools also, Java C and other tools from any directory in your command line you can use. You don't have to be specifically in the bin directory of your JDK installation. And since we are going to write it using IDE also, so you should have some IDE also installed and ready to be used. As I said, I'm going to use Eclipse to write the program, but you can use any IDE. So before going to write the program, let's see the basic structure and try to understand what all would be there in the program. So when you write a Java program, since Java is an object-oriented language, so everything has to be in class. So first of all, you have to define a class, which will be a public class and class name. So class name here is Hello World, and it is public. That is a access specifier actually, which means that it can be accessed from anywhere. So public class, that means you are defining a class which is public and name is Hello World. Then in Java, you use curly brackets or braces. So starting braces and end. So anything you write within these braces is this class logic. Then that's how you can give single line comment. That's how you can give multi-line comment. Then within this class, you will have a method whose name is main. And that is also public. That means it can be accessed from anywhere. It is also static. That we'll see a little later what you mean by static. Then it is also void, which means this method won't return anything. And it can take a string array. So this means array. So this is a string array and argument. So argument says a string array. That's what it means. Then again, you will have braces. That means start main method and main method. So whatever you write within this, that will become the logic for this method. So method block. Within that, you are saying that it should print a line, print a line on the out of the system, which by default is your terminal. So it will print a line on your terminal, and that line is whatever you give here. So that is what this program will do. So you just display some message on the screen. That's it. And most of the statements, not all, but most, ends with a semicolon. So you'll have a semicolon here. All right. And another thing is Java is case sensitive. So whatever is needed, you have to write it as it is. Wherever you need capital letter, it should be a capital letter, as here system starts with a capital S. So it has to be a capital S. Println is all small case, so it has to be all small case. So it is case sensitive. Okay, so you have to write this program as it is. Otherwise, you will get compile time errors. So ensure everything is as it is. So with that knowledge, let's start writing it in the notepad. First of all, a text editor. Then we'll move on to writing in a IDE. So we are in our notepad now. So first thing what we'll do is we'll save it. So we are in this folder. So I have to go there, and while saving it, ensure that in save as type you change to all files. Why that is needed is otherwise it will add .txt also in the file name, but we have to save it as .java extension. Otherwise, you will get an error. It will save it as helloworld.java.txt. So ensure that you change it into all files. And why we need this name hello world only, I'll come to that. So now we start writing public class hello world. So if you see name here is hello world of this public class. That is why the file name also should be hello world. So we have to save it as hello world only. Now we add these braces. And within that, we have to write all the other things. So that becomes the class logic. And we are also giving some indentation. So in Java, it is not necessary, as in Python, if you have worked in that, there you use indentation, and that is kind of mandatory. But here it's more of for readability purpose, because here anyway you give braces to mark the start and end. Now with that, I start writing my method. So public static void main string args. So it has to be in this particular way only. That's how you have to write main method. Some of these things we'll discuss later, why you need all that. But first let's write this program. Then we need to print a line. So for that, system.out.println, which means you have to print in a new line whatever text we are giving. So here I am giving first Java program, and let's add hello world also to it, and end with semicolon. So that is our program. So we'll save it. So this program is written in this location, right? So if I have to compile it and access it, so I'll go to the command prompt. I have to go to this same location. So I'll just go there, cd, and now we are at the location where our file is. Now to compile it, I have to use javac. So javac and file name, which is helloworld.java. Press enter. Let's see. There is no compile time error. So our program is compiled successfully. Now, if we go to our location, you see a new file is created, helloworld.class, which contains the bytecode. So if you want to know more about it, that is discussed in detail in the previous video, JVM, JDK, JRE. You can refer that to know more details about what is bytecode, how it is created. So now compilation is done. So we have the bytecode. Now if we have to run it, we'll have to use Java. And we have to use this class, helloworld.class, but we don't need to give the extension. Now JVM will interpret our bytecode, which is created line by line, and create machine level instructions, and we get our output. So our code is executed. So we'll try to understand what is done. Okay, so now let's keep it side by side, what we have written, and some explanation to see what all we have done. So first thing, if you see, we have done this process, right? Once we have created the file, we have used Java C to compile it, which gives us the bytecode, right? Our file compiles to bytecode dot class file. Then we used another command, Java hello world, right? Then JVM interprets it line by line, converts it to machine level instruction, which is then executed, and we got our output. So that is what we have done. Java is an object-oriented language. That means we have to write everything in a class. Now, as I said, there is an exception to it by using an implicit class. But first, let's stick to the traditional way. So that class we have created, which is named Hello World, and curly braces, that's where we give the class body. And it is public. That means this class can be accessed from anywhere. Then within that, we wrote a method, public static void main. So this part, if you see, right, this is called method signature, and it has to be written the same way in Java, public static void main. So this is public. That means it can be accessed from anywhere. And that is important. Otherwise, how will JVM know where to access this main method? Okay, so it has to be public, and you always have a main method, and that is the entry point of your Java application. So when you say Java hello world right here, so JVM knows that it has to start the execution of this hello world program from the main method. So it is like an entry point. So every application must contain a main method, because this is the entry point of every Java application. Then within that, we have a statement, right? System.out.println, which means we are printing a line on the system.out, which is terminal. And that is what we are printing. That has to be written in double quotes and with a semicolon. And that is what we got on the console. So that's some description about what we have just done. Now let's write the same program in the IDE. And as I said, I'm going to use Eclipse for that. First thing you have to do is create a folder at some location. Okay, so that acts as a workspace for your IDE. So workspace means all your code, what you write in that editor, right? That will be stored in this folder itself. So that is the first thing you have to do, create a workspace. So I have named it Java WS, Java Workspace. You can give any name. Now we start Eclipse. So once you start Eclipse, first thing it will ask for select a directory as workspace. That's where you can select this workspace, whichever you have created. So I'll go to my workspace and open it. Then we launch it. So first time it will give you a welcome screen. So you can close that. Now we are in our IDE. So it has an editor here. That's where you will write your program. So integrated development environment, it gives you an editor. Then on the left side, you have Project Explorer. There you will see your project. Here you will have a console where you can see whatever you execute, right? Output you can see here. So first thing, we have to create a Java project. So you have to go to new and look for Java project. Since it is first time, so it is not here. So you have to go into the other. And here if you see Java project is there, that is one way, or you can go to the Java, and here also you will find all the things for Java grouped together. So you are in Java project now. That is where you have to set your JDK, what you are using. So I have JDK 25. So I'm just ensuring that is the selected one. Then you have to give a project name. So just any name, but give a meaningful name. So I'm giving it as Java project. Next. Just finish it. So it asks that it is a Java perspective. Should I switch to it? So yes, open the Java perspective. Now you have Java project with the structure that JRE is 25 and source folder also you get. In that you have module info. So that has something to do with module. We won't go into the details about that right now. For now, you can delete it if you want. Now within source, what we can do is we can directly create our code file, but generally what you do, you create a package. So we'll do that. Package means you will group together all the code in that particular package. So suppose I'm doing some basics. So I'm creating a package basics. All the basics code will be grouped together in this package. Now within that, I will create a Java file. So right click new class. Now I create my class. So here I can give some name. So we are creating hello world. So I'll give the same name, hello world. Modifier is public. Here you can select that it gives public static void main also. So that will also be comes as typed. But for now, I won't check it. We'll write it ourselves for some practice. Okay, finish. Now in IDE, you will get the basic structure. It is in the package basics. And now you already have this much written. If you had checked that, you would have got public static void main also, but we are typing it here. So I'll type that public static void main string args. Then start and end bracket. If you see now, indentation is also automatically done. You have some different colors also for keywords which are there. So ID, right? You have this editor which gives you a proper feel, you can say. Now within that, I'm writing system.out.println. So I use that shortcut sysout, then you do control space and it will be changed to system.out.println. Here I have to write my text, what I want to be printed. So first Java program, hello world. That's it. That is our program saved. So with ID, it will be compiled on its own. So to run it, I can just click on this arrow, right? Run as. So it will run it and we get the output. Second way is you can right click, you will have the option run as Java application. That will also give you the output. So that's how I can write our Java program in Eclipse IDE. And I was telling that here everything is done automatically, right? Compilation, execution, console is also here. So everything is integrated here itself. So many things are happening behind the scene. That is why we first wrote it using notepad so that you can get a feel of how it looks like, what all process happens, right? Java C, Java, all that we have done with IDE. So that's all about writing Java program with Eclipse IDE. So now let's see how you can create a Java program as an implicit class. So as the name itself suggests, right, it will be an implicit class. So you won't create a class explicitly. So there won't be any explicit class declaration or package statement. All that is not required. Even main method would be shorter. So just to show you, it will be something like that. That is what you have to write, not something like this. So what happens actually is, if you have just started, right, and you haven't done any object oriented programming before, then it becomes quite overwhelming, right? Where you have to write all package, class, and whoever is telling you has to also tell, okay, for now we are skipping this part, there is a class. For now you just understand that. Once we come to object oriented, then you'll understand what is class, and once we come to static, then you'll understand what is static. For now you just write. So that may become confusing for many beginners, right? So that is why Java has given this feature of implicit class, where you don't have to write all this boilerplate code. You can simply write this much: void main. You will start from here itself. That I have a main method where I have this to print. That is your hello world program. You can write bigger program also like this, where you declare some variables, do some logic within that. Okay, so that is the idea about implicit class, that you don't have to write any class, any package, even main method signature is shorter. So let's try to do it ourselves also. So in Eclipse, if you are doing that, what you can do is, since it does not reside in any package, so what you can do is you can directly create it within the source in a default package. And if you go to new, you won't select class because that will create a class. You have to select file. So new file. Here you can name it hello world. You already have hello world, so I'll name it hello world 1 Java, though it will be in different package, so I can still name it hello world, but just to make it clear. Now we are in this file hello world 1.java. So here what you have to write is void main. Here you will start, and now what you will use is IO, which is in java.lang, which is a package which is always there with every class. And within that you can write println. Let's say hello world from implicit class, and that's it, right? So compare it with this. You have to write a class, package, within that public static void main. Now only this. So as a beginner, it may look a little comforting to you, where you don't have to write a lot of things which you don't know. So that is the idea of implicit class. If we run it, we get hello world from implicit class. All right, so that is the new feature actually. So it was a preview feature in Java 22. Preview feature means it was not a permanent feature. You could configure it and see how it looks like. It became a permanent feature in Java 24. From Java 25, it is also known as compact source file. So compact code you are writing, right? You don't have a lot of things within that. So it is also known as compact source file now. All right. So that's about implicit class and how you can write a program using an implicit class. Okay, so that's all about writing your first Java program. If you have successfully completed the Hello World program, then there is one exercise here which you guys can try. What you are supposed to do is you have to write a program which prints this information. So you'll have one line, then some headings, then another line, and then some values. So a simple program where you have to print these values. As a hint, let me tell you one thing. If I want this information with the equal distance in between, then you can use tab. So suppose, and here I created a new class. Let's say I name it person info, and this time I'll take this also public static void main. So I get this much. Then I can do system out, and I can type name slash t and age. With that, I'll get this much gap. So that's how I can get equal distance. If I add another heading after that, then that will also come after that much gap. So just one hint. With that, I am pretty sure you guys would be able to do it without any problem. So try it. I will also give the GitHub link where I'll give the code for this anyway. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.